President.
I want to take you live now to the Senate floor. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer giving a speech amid the record-long government shutdown. Let's see what the offer is.
What the Senate is doing isn't working for either party and isn't working for the American people. Democrats have said we must address the health care crisis. But Republicans have repeatedly said they won't negotiate to lower the health care costs until the government reopens. So let's find a path to honor both positions. Democrats would like to see an end to this shutdown, and we want to respect Leader Thune's desire not to negotiate on ACA until after the government reopens. Therefore, we'd like to offer a simple proposal that would reopen the government and extend the ACA premium tax credits simultaneously, and then have the opportunity to start negotiating longer-term solutions to health care costs. Let's do all three. I've spoken with my caucus, and Democrats are offering a very simple compromise. Democrats are ready to clear the way to quickly pass a government funding bill that includes health care affordability. Leader Thune just needs to add a clean one-year extension of the ACA tax credits to the CR so that we can immediately address rising health care costs. That's not a negotiation. It's an extension of current law, something we do all the time around here, as we all know. But we also offer this. Let's create a bipartisan committee that will continue negotiations after the government reopens on reforms, ahead of next year's enrollment period, to provide long-term certainty that health care costs will be more affordable. This proposal reopens the government and ensures working families who are shopping right now for their health care get certainty and financial relief. While open enrollment has begun, insurers can update their rates after we pass a simple extension of the tax credits. With this approach, we do not negotiate health care in the shutdown, as Leader Thune has maintained he wishes, and the American people get the tax credit extension they want. That is what many of our Republican colleagues have floated over the last 6 weeks as a compromise: a one-year tax credit extension and reforms to the credit beyond that. We will agree with the Republican request not to start negotiations until after the government reopens. All Republicans have to do is say yes to extend current law for 1 year. It makes sense. And since what we're proposing is only a simple extension of current law, the Senate could do this within a few hours. This is a reasonable offer that reopens the government, deals with health care affordability, and begins a process of negotiating reforms to the ACA tax credits for the future. Now, the ball is in the Republicans' court. We need Republicans to just say yes. I yield to Senator Peters.
Thank you, Leader Schumer.
Senator from Michigan.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, Republicans have repeatedly said that they will not negotiate reforms to the health care law credits until the government reopens. I will tell you right now that all my colleagues on this side of the aisle definitely want to open government, and we want to do it as soon as possible. We are also willing to respect Leader Thune's desire to negotiate after the shutdown. So Democrats are offering today a very simple, straightforward compromise. And if Republicans accept this, we could open the government today. Wouldn't that be fabulous? Show that we can come together with a common sense, bipartisan compromise and open government. All we have to do is have a one-year extension of a clean bill that's law now, it's expired. It's just an extension of an existing law dealing with tax credits. And over the next year, we can figure out a long-term solution to the health care challenge that we're facing as a country. This proposal opens the government and ensures that families who are shopping right now for their health care can get immediate financial relief at a time when costs are driving families to make incredibly difficult financial decisions. And we believe that while we're trying to figure out a long-term solution to the healthcare crisis, people should not be penalized. People should not be suffering. Give the relief that they need now, and over the next year, we'll work together to find a more comprehensive solution. We know that right now our nation is experiencing a healthcare crisis where costs are skyrocketing and too many Americans are risking losing their coverage. Too many Americans are struggling to choose between food or gas or healthcare. And it's not just Americans in blue states, let's be clear. Families in every state across the country are paying these prices. Every one of us have families that are experiencing this now in our states. But we can take action today to give our constituents some immediate financial relief and prevent them from being priced out of the insurance market. We all want to end the shutdown. We want to ensure that government services can continue, and we want to ensure our hardworking federal employees get the pay that they have earned. But Democrats have made clear since day one that in order to get the votes that Republicans need, we must address the health care crisis. Because the American people have made it clear they want Congress to take action on this issue, it's literally life or death for far too many American families. I know many of my Republican colleagues want to work on this issue too. I've had conversations with so many of my colleagues on the other side of the aisle who want to try to figure out how we fix this. But they've said repeatedly we won't negotiate until government reopens. Leader Thune has said, quote, "Give us the votes to open up the government. Then we will have a conversation about some of these issues that you want to discuss." And I think health care is certainly something we are anxious to all talk about, end of quote. And perhaps most importantly, even President Trump has said he'd be happy to work with Democrats on health care policies, but only once the government is reopened. Well, I agree with my Republican colleagues. It's not realistic to reform a major health care policy in just a few days. That's not going to happen. And I respect Leader Thune and President Trump's desire to work on this when the government is reopened. And I'm willing to compromise on that. My colleagues are willing to compromise this, and it's something that can be done today if we need to. But our Republican colleagues have to be willing to compromise too. Compromise is a two-way street. And they have shown us that and we want them to show us that these are not just empty words, that they really are willing to compromise, and they do want to take action. So that's why we've put forward this very simple proposal. Extend the tax credits for 1 year. We are not asking to make any major changes to the current law. Just extend that to protect people who are suffering right now and are hurting. We're just asking to keep the credits in place for 1 year so that families can see some immediate financial relief from the costs that are going through the roof, so that they can make important decisions about buying their health care right now during open enrollment. This is live. People are dealing with this situation as we speak. We can fix this. If we care about making sure families can afford their health care, we should all agree on that. We should get 100 votes here for people to say we're going to do everything we can to protect health care for Americans. And we can do that right now. And we can open up government right now. We can pay employees. We can move this country forward if we do that. All we need is a very simple extension of a law that's already existed for some time. We know that from the start that any deal will ultimately have to be a compromise. It doesn't have to be unanimous. There'll be likely folks on both sides that may feel uncomfortable with this, and I get that, and that's the way this place works.
So we got word that Minority Leader Chuck Schumer was going to come to the floor for some type of announcement to try and end this government shutdown. You're listening right now to Michigan Democratic Leader Gary Peters. Basically, what the offer is: 1 year extension of the Enhanced Affordable Care Act subsidies to address the rising health care costs, have an immediate opening to the government, which, as you are hearing leaders say, would give instant relief for families right now, many families that are in the middle of open enrollment for health care. So is this going to work? Let's find out. Let's bring in our Jay O'Brien, who covers the Hill for us. We got last-minute word that there was going to be this speech on the floor. Jay, the deal seems pretty cut and dry, simple, one request. Is it going to work?
Yeah, this is the proposal that Democrats are offering to Republicans here, and it is a walk back of what they had initially demanded. They wanted a full permanent extension of these Obamacare tax credits that, if they're not extended, will cause premiums for some 20 million Americans who get their insurance through Obamacare marketplaces to skyrocket. Democrats wanted the tax credits to be permanent. What Chuck Schumer is now offering Republicans today is just a one-year extension of those tax credits. Extend them a year. Let's work on this broader issue of health care. During that time, he also proposed a bipartisan commission made up of Republicans and Democrats that would tackle this issue over the course of that year after the tax credits had been extended. But Kira, it's very much unclear if this is something that Republicans would want. Republicans have been very reticent to negotiate on this issue of these Obamacare tax credits at all during this shutdown. They have been clear they don't want to touch this issue unless Democrats agree to vote to reopen the government first. That has been consistently the line from John Thune. And I can tell you that there are rank and file Republicans who also say that they really just don't want to vote for anything that would extend Obamacare tax credits because they have fundamental issues with the Affordable Care Act in general. So this is really not a done deal at this hour. It's certainly an offer. It's certainly a change of what Democrats have been asking for. But we'll have to see as the day goes on how Republicans are going to react to this. And by the way, Kira, if this can even get out of the Senate, which is a big if, there's a very open question of whether Speaker Mike Johnson, who would need to call the House back to pass this deal, by the way, there's a very open question of whether or not he would put this legislation on the floor, because I've been consistently told Mike Johnson really is opposed to putting anything on the floor that links government funding to the Affordable Care Act in the text of a legislation. Not two separate bills, but one bill, which is what Chuck Schumer is talking about here. So if this gets out of the Senate, it's really unclear if it has a path to even get a vote in the House.
Well, you mentioned Senate Majority Leader John Thune. The question is now, will we hear from him? We're standing by. We're waiting. Jay O'Brien, appreciate you so much.